Hey guys, it's Kat and I'm finally back. A bit late, sorry, but better late than never, with my April check-in for my Project Apocalypse series. Now, if you are new here and you have never seen this series before, it's my fourth installment in a sort of year-long, might be a bit longer than that, might carry on to next year, but it is what it is. It is pretty much a series where I use all my lip products, which is around 500 of them, and I declutter them as I go. So every month I pick a brand or a theme and I use as many lip products as I can, and then I let you know how I went with them, show you photos, give you a small review on each of the products, and I'll tell you which ones I'm keeping and which ones I'm decluttering. So that's what this series is. In the past, I've done them based on brands. So my January was Colourpop, then it was MAC, and then it was NARS. From now on, I think I'm going to be just focusing on themes because I've sort of knocked out the really big categories or the brands that I've had a lot of products from. So I'm now sort of doing it in a theme. So in April, I actually decided to go a bit bougie and wear some high-end makeup. I will tell you the brands that I've been looking at this month or in April, and I also have a second high-end month planned for sometime later this year because I do have some other sort of high-end brands that didn't make it into this month's video. So this month I focused on the brands Pat McGrath, YSL, By Terry, Tom Ford, Charlotte Tilbury, Orbe, and Alice Farce. So pretty high-end. High-end and luxury, it's a term that is pretty loosey-goosey. These brands I consider to be high-end, other people might not, but they're pretty expensive, so I'm calling it high-end month number one. The brand that I have most products from is actually Pat McGrath, so I may as well start there. I might start with the lip glosses because these are things that I bought only this year. I shouldn't have been buying lip products, but I have been, giving myself some more work to do, obviously. But yeah, these are the lip glosses. They've been on sale for a while, so I decided to pick up a few of them. And these are the Lust glosses. So I have 3 shades. They're all nudes. The first one I have is Faux Real. Then I have Flesh Fantasy and Wicked Whisper. So they're all various shades of nude. Faux Real is more of a tanny nude, and the other two are sort of more rosy brownie nudes. They're all very pretty. I'll have photos of them on the screen, and I'm gonna keep them all just because they are so fresh. And I did find myself reaching for these fairly often because I have so many colored products here and quite bold products. On days where I just didn't want to wear a lip like this to the shops, I'll just grab one of these and put it on. So that's sort of why I like nude lip glosses, is they're just so easy to apply, just to put a bit of color or moisture on the lip. So what I said about these is that it's a really basic but really nice lip gloss. I have no complaints about this besides the original price point. I did get them for I think 18 Australian dollars, which I think is roughly 14 US dollars. So I think that's a really great price for them. I don't regret buying them, but I don't think they're worth the high-end price tag. I said that these have a nice soft vanilla scent. They apply nicely and evenly. They make your lips look nice and juicy and not too gluggy or sticky, which is really nice. It's a sheer amount of color that it gives, but it's like the perfect amount of pigment you need for a nude lip gloss. I actually compared these in my notes to the Colourpop Ultra Glossy Lip, which those tick a lot of boxes for me as well. These just feel a tiny bit more luxe because the packaging is a lot nicer, and yeah, tiny bit more luxe, but I don't think it's worth the original 42 Australian dollar price tag, but for $18 these were really great. I'm going to keep them. Next I'm going to talk about the lip balms. Now I actually bought these last year, again all of them on sale, and mainly prompted by Hayley's influence. She really wanted this black one, this Noir lip balm, and she wanted to place an order and was like, look, these are on sale, do you want some? And I was like, sure. Throw them in the cart. I didn't use them for the longest time because I think we got them while we were in lockdown and I couldn't see her, I couldn't pick them up, but I thought this was a perfect opportunity to try them all out. I'll start with the full size of one of the nude shades because I feel like that's the one that I've been using the most. So this is the Lip Fetish Sheer Color Balm in the shade Succexy. That's the most awkward name to say ever. Essentially it's a very sort of peachy pink sheer tinted lip balm, very comfortable, quite basic. The packaging on this is really luxe and really nice quality, really heavy, but I feel like you are paying a lot of money for the packaging and not so much the product. So in my notes, I say that this just feels like a nice balm. It has a nice slip to it. It's not thick or gluggy or sticky. It's very comfortable on the lips and almost has that sort of oil slip to it. So it feels quite thin and not at all sticky. It doesn't last a long time, maybe at best a couple of hours. It's quite sheer with one swipe, but if you do want to build up the color, you can get it to more of a medium sort of coverage if you just sort of layer a few coats. I said that this does leave your lips feeling quite hydrated, which is nice because some lip balms tend to dry out your lips once you've stopped using it. I did say that the scent has a bit of a soft vanilla sort of powdery scent to it, but it has notes of like raw ingredients, so it almost smells a little bit of like Play-Doh in the background. So it's not the nicest scent, but it's not like obnoxious either. And I did say that overall it's a nice tinted balm. Good if you can get it on sale, but I wouldn't pay full price for it. Again, I'm keeping this one. It's one similar to the lip glosses I would find myself reaching for quite a lot when I just wanted to cover up a bit of foundation lips or put a little bit of color on my lips, but nothing too bold, nothing too messy. I did reach for this or the lip glosses fairly often this month. All right, things get a little bit more disappointing when I talk about the mini trio that I did pick up as well. So as a size comparison, this is the full size, that is the mini. They both have very similar packaging. This is a little bit cheaper feeling. Obviously this has more metal detailing, but it is very cute. So the size difference is pretty obvious. All right, the lighting's not the best, but hopefully you can see the size difference there in the original and the mini. The mini is quite small. Now, admittedly, the only reason I picked up this mini pack is because it's got a shade in it that I originally wanted in the full size, but it was sold out. So this is the shade Blow Up, and it is what I would consider more of a true nude on me. I believe I do have swatches that I'll put on the screen so you can see the comparison. This is more of that sort of just your nude shade. It's a basic neutral nude, and this is the shade that I wanted originally in the full size. So I do really like this color. It is more of a true nude on me, but I found that it was so nude that it almost looked like a clear balm. So I'll have a photo of it on the screen, and it really didn't add much. I was also really concerned about using this because it is quite fragile. The packaging is a little bit cheaper, and this little mini bullet is quite fragile. So I was a bit scared to use this. I will keep this because I like the color and the formula is quite nice. And I think I might try to pan this because it should be really easy to pan, and I'm scared it's gonna break. Now, the reason I'm scared it's gonna break is because the first one I tried in this trio in the last month is the shade Flesh 3. And this, as soon as I applied it, it broke. So I'm not sure if you can see, there we go. You can see that it just broke at the base of the bullet, and it is a real mess. Now, I was considering just trying to shove this back in the tube and use it. It's a small amount, it's a nice color. This is a little bit deeper on the lip, so it's more of a mid-toned, deeper nude, but a really, really beautiful tone. But I've decided ultimately that I don't have space in my life for something this messy, so I'm gonna get rid of it. It's the first one I'm getting rid of, and I'll focus on panning these instead. The last one in the trio is just clear. It's just a clear lip balm. I would not pay Pat McGrath prices for a clear lip balm, probably not even on sale prices, because it's just a clear balm. I'm just happy that this didn't break, but I feel like any day these will break. So I'm going to keep these just to pan, but I don't want them in my collection. They're just too finicky and too prone to breaking. The last lip balm that I have is Noir. So this is in fancy matte black packaging. So, you know, compare it to the white and the gold. This is all matte black, and the balm is essentially just a fancy clear balm. It's got a tint of black or gray, and it really doesn't do much. It's got a very light tint of gray, which adds a little bit of coolness to the lips, but effectively it's just a fancy clear lip balm. Again, I'll have swatches on the screen. You can see this swatched. I think it's down the bottom compared to the top, which is the clear. Look, this is just a lot nicer to apply than the minis because I don't feel like I'm gonna break it every time I reach for it. But again, like, besides the fact that this looks cool and this was on sale, I would not bother repurchasing it. It's just a nice balm, but it's not Pat McGrath prices nice. So I'm going to keep it to use it because it's very practical, but it's not something that I'm like, yeah, live your best life, buy a full price Pat McGrath lip balm. No. All right, the last things from Pat McGrath that I have are some of the lipsticks. Now, I've got 6, which sounds like a lot. It is. I bought 3 and I was gifted 3. So I didn't buy all of these. 5 of these are the MatteTrance formula and 1 is the LuxeTrance, which ironically, I think I like the LuxeTrance formula better than the MatteTrance, but it took me a while to figure that out. So I'm going to talk about the LuxeTrance one first because I really, really love this shade. This is the shade Los Angeles, and it's this really, really beautiful nude, but it's a cool toned nude. Now, in past months, I've decluttered sort of these greyish nudie colors or these purpley nudie colors that I thought, look, these are going to be beautiful, cool toned nudes on me, but they ended up being too like concrete lips, like too cool toned. This is the perfect cool tone nude. In the bullet, it just looks like a nude, but when you do apply it, it does have this cool toned, almost purpley gray tint to it that is very, very flattering on the lips. It does lean quite cool toned when you see it on the lips, but it's not like a statement lip. It's just a really beautiful way to wear a cooler toned nude. So I reckon this is the most perfect cool toned nude. I actually prefer this blotted down. It is quite an opaque, creamy formula, and I think it just looks a little bit nicer when you blot it down. It gives you that sort of 90s sort of grungy nude, cool toned thing going on, which I think is really pretty. It doesn't work with all makeup styles, but if you pair it well, it's gorgeous. So I'm definitely keeping this. All right, I'll read some notes about what I said about this because I have been keeping some detailed notes. I did say that I feel like it's a very unique, cool toned shade. So it's cool enough to be interesting, but it's also something that I don't feel self-conscious walking down the street in, which I think is really important. All right, so in terms of formula, I said that I like this, but I'm not obsessed with the formula. The best part about it is that it's nicely pigmented and it does wear really nicely throughout the day for a creamy lipstick. I found that I could wear it all day with just reapplying after lunch. And I actually prefer the look of it when it starts to fade down or is a bit blotted down to more of a matte finish because it can look quite heavy on the lips, and that's what I didn't love about it. It is quite creamy, but it also is quite thick, so it does really coat the lips and it can be a little bit too much. But I'm keeping it because I love the color and I love how it wears. All right, onto the MatteTrance lipsticks, and these are the ones I'm most familiar with because I've had these for longer. I've had some sort of mixed results with this formula. I don't know if it's different shades performing better than others or if it's just some days they work great and other days they don't. I didn't have the best experience with my Elson 2, which is actually the first one I bought and the one that I thought I was going to love the most. But when I did try some of these other shades throughout the month, they wore really, really beautifully. So maybe it was just a bad, I don't know, lip chemistry day and it didn't work with it. But I'll start by describing the formula and then I'll talk about the shades that I have. Okay, so I said that these are super pigmented. The lightest swipe will give you full coverage, but it's a matte texture that can feel a little bit gritty sometimes on the lips. I said that unlike some other matte lipsticks that I've tried that apply quite creamy looking and settle down after some time to a matte finish, these do look matte on the lips and they're not drying, which is really nice. However, I did find that especially Elson 2, which is a bright red, it didn't really set down completely, and it was one of those lipsticks that you had to babysit a little bit because it would sort of move around as you would just live your life every day, and it was just a little bit high maintenance. But when I wore some other shades, so for example, Flesh 3 or Full Panic, I had a lot better results and they did last really well throughout the day. So I like this formula, but it's not a formula I reach for on a daily basis, which makes me a little bit suspicious about whether or not I should keep these, but I do like the shades and I do like how they look on the lips. I'll have a swatch photo on the screen of the 6 lipsticks that I own. The first one is obviously the Los Angeles one, and then we've got the 5 mattes. The first one is Elson 2. This is a really pretty sort of orange toned brighter red. This is the one that I had a few issues with, like having it actually not last my lips, but not migrate, which was a bit annoying, but it might have just been the day. Then I've got the shade Forbidden Love, which is a really beautiful sort of traditional true red lip. Now it is really stunning. Do I need it? That's the question. Oh, I've got so many reds. This is both of these. Do I need them? Do I need them? Do I need them? I don't know. I find this so difficult. This project is a challenge. The next shade is a little bit more unique, and this is the one I most recently bought again on sale. It's the shade Full Panic. And this I did expect to be a little bit brighter just based on swatches I saw online, but this is sort of like your lipstick pink. It's bright but quite rich pink, so it's not very, very vibrant. It's not very, very neon. This looks like a pink equivalent of a red lip in my opinion. I did wear this a couple of times in the last month, including to my son's first birthday. I'll try to put a photo on the screen. And it wore really, really well. I didn't need to babysit it. I put it on once and then I was busy for hours and hours and it looked like good all day. So I'm going to keep that one. Then I've got two deeper shades and I'm not too sure about these because I don't wear these shades too often, but they did wear really nicely. I have Guinevere, which is this beautiful sort of wine colored red. So it is quite red, but it is quite deep. Now, I just swatched this on the lips to take a photo and it looks quite messy, but the shade is really pretty. So again, I'm a bit torn. And then the last one, I did actually do a full day wear test on this and it wore really, really beautiful. This is the shade Flesh 3, similar to that lip balm that broke and is shit, but this is the matte sort of bold version. And this is like a deep, beautiful nude. So on my lips, it's definitely more of that sort of chocolatey brown with a little bit of sort of rosy tones to it. And I really liked how this wore. This sort of wore almost like an equivalent of a liquid lip where it sets down really nicely and doesn't really move throughout the day. I really liked this one. So the color is not something I reach for often, but the formula was really, really nice. I just wish all of them wore this well. Again, might have been what I was eating, might have been the weather, might have been my lip chemistry of the day, but I found that this one wore so well compared to Elson too. All right, you're probably telling that I'm a little bit torn about these. I like all the shades and I quite like the formulas. It's just about whether or not I will reach for them over other things I have in my collection. So what I'm actually gonna do is reserve making a decision on these, and I'm going to put them to the test at the end of this project where I'm going to swatch them alongside similar shades and decide, do I need to keep them? So that's what I am planning on doing after I go through and test all of my lip products. I do want to revisit all the shades and really decide how many of the same reds do I need to keep and which formulas will I reach for more. So I am actually going to keep all of these 5 until that time. Then the brand that I have the most of is actually surprisingly YSL. I didn't know I owned so many YSL products, but I clearly do. I've got 7 lip products here. 6 of them are full size and then I've got 1 mini. The formula that I have the most of, and again, this is a bit of a mixed bag. I was gifted one in a PR bag. I bought one and I was gifted one from a subscriber friend. So there's a bit of a mix here and I don't know which of the reds that I bought and which one I was gifted, but they're both quite similar. And then I've got a little mini that I got in Mecca Beauty Loop box. So, you know, yeah, that's how I've got all of these. But I have to say I really like the formula. I like it a lot more than I remember when I first tried these. So again, I don't know if it's the time of year or my lip chemistry, but I really enjoyed these. And I didn't say what they were. They are the Tatouage Couture Matte Stain. It's actually what I'm wearing on my lips today. Super comfortable, super opaque, really, really nice formula. I'll read some notes and then I'll talk about the shades. All right, I said with the formula of these, they apply almost like a thicker water. So it does give an inky, stainy sort of feel to the lips rather than a mousse or a traditional liquid lipstick that is quite thicker. These are very, very thin and they apply on the lips super thinly and they wear really comfortably. But because these settle down to a matte finish, but they're not completely dry and budge proof, they do feel really comfortable on the lips throughout the day and they do fade down surprisingly nicely. These are the type of lip products that you can put on and not worry too much about it smearing or moving because they feel secure. It feels set, it feels in place, it doesn't feel like it's gonna smear or it's too creamy and you're worried that if you just, you know, touch your face, it's going to smear everywhere. So I really like that about these. I did find that some shades do wear down a little bit on the inner part of the lip first, but it doesn't look too bad. And the good thing about it is because these are so thin, you can just go touch it up without it building on itself and feeling cakey and heavy or flaky or dry. These are really easy to touch up. One thing I thought was interesting to note is the applicator of these are slanted. So it does have this weird sort of slant to it, which can sort of give a more precise line, but I feel like on one side it would give a precise line, and then when you go to do the other side, unless you're really good at sort of doing it backwards, which I'm not the best at, I found like it was really beneficial for one side, and then the other side always looked a little bit uneven. But yeah, you can make it work. It's just an interesting applicator. When it comes to the shades, I actually like all of these. I think these are really, really nice. I've got the shade 1 and 12. So both of these are bright reds. One is a little bit brighter, and I found that it was a little bit less pigmented. So that one's 1 and that one's 12. Now I definitely don't need both of these. And the reason I've decided that is because I decided to put them one on one half of the lip, one on the other, and I don't think they look that different. So I actually have 1 on this side and I have 12 on this side. I'm not sure if you can tell the difference. I know the lighting is a little bit uneven, but I actually like the look of 1 better because it is a brighter red, but 12 is more opaque and I think it lasts a little bit longer. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm not going to keep both of these. I don't need both. Let's be real. I love the formula. I think it's really, really comfortable. It wears really well, but if I can't really tell the difference on the lip, do I need them both? Probably not. Then I've got the shade number 15, which I believe is called Violent Conviction. This is more of a deep berry shade. And again, it's not a color I normally wear, but this applied and looked so beautiful. It's this sort of purple berry deep shade, and it wore down like a faded stain sort of purpley shade as well. So it wore down really beautifully. My hesitation with these shades is often that when it starts to wear down, you see the nude lips coming through. It looks really unattractive in my opinion, but this wore really well, so I'm keeping this. So even though I'm not going to wear this color too often, because I can rely on the formula and I really like the formula and how it wears down, I feel like it's one that I'm confident to go back to. So I'm keeping that one. And the last one I'm keeping, it's not my favorite shade, but I feel like it's a really cute little handbag size. It's just a little mini, and it's something that I could potentially pan in the future. So this one's the shade 16 Nude Emblem, but this one is very, very pink and very rosy. It's not my favorite color nude, but again, because it's so small and so convenient, I am going to keep this. And again, this wore really well. It was super comfortable. And yeah, it's something I can chuck in my handbag or pan in the future. Another thing worth noting is because these are technically matte stains, some shades do stain. This is that dark purple color, which is also why this wears so well and fades down so nicely, is it actually does stain the skin. The other shades don't stain as well. So if you were after these because you love the stain effect or you like the stain look, these don't really stain, but they're a really beautiful, very, very comfortable, thin liquid lipstick formula that are lovely. They're lovely. Another YSL stain that I have and admittedly do not really like at all. I'm going to get rid of this. This is actually this is the Vinyl Cream lip stain, and the shade that I have is 406 Orange Electro. Now I love orange shades. I love orange stains. This one didn't do it for me, and I'll explain why. All right, so my notes about this, I said that it's a very shiny, bright orange-red gloss that's supposed to stain the lips. I don't really feel like it does, but that's what it claims to do. This can be built up to get a more opaque finish, or you can apply it very sheerly to make it look more like that sort of translucent stain effect. This is very, very shiny, but it doesn't feel sticky, so it does have more of that oil slip. So being like a vinyl cream product, this is very, very high shine. But if you build it up quite a lot, it can look a little bit gluggy on the lips, but luckily it's not sticky. It does have, again, that sort of oil slip to it, so it doesn't, you don't purse your lips together and get those sort of like lines of goopiness, but it can look a little bit heavy on the lips in my opinion. I did really like the color. I did find that this wore pretty well. The sort of glossy finish lasted for hours. The color lasted for hours, but once you sort of faded that down or removed that, there wasn't much of a stain underneath. But the thing that annoyed me the most about this was the fact that my lips felt so extremely dry after I removed it. It was almost as though that glossy layer tricked your lips into feeling hydrated, but it was actually dehydrating your lips because it was not good. Even the next day, my lips felt dry, and I don't have dry lips. So the fact that this, which is supposed to be so shiny and supposedly moisturizing, does dry out your lips for multiple days, this was unforgivable. I didn't mind the look of it. I think it looks nicer applied sheerly because I think that sort of fresh, glossy, lightly orange effect was a little bit more fresh and flattering than it sort of gooped and caked on. But I refuse to use this because I don't have dry lips and it made my lips really dry. So this one's going. The last two YSL products I have are actually lipsticks. One is one that I bought ages and ages and ages ago. I don't even know if it's around anymore. I think this was my first sort of like luxury lipstick purchase. So it's been around for a while, but it still wears really nicely and doesn't smell bad. The texture's fine. It's still really good. So this is the Rouge Pure Lipstick in the shade 131. Now the reason I bought this was I was a bit on a mission that I wanted like a blood red lip, and this was the best I could find. I remember going to like drugstore brands to higher end brands to MAC to everything, and this was a shade I decided to land on. It's a really, really beautiful sort of vibrant but slightly deeper red. So this has a bit of a warm tone to it, so it's not a blue toned red. It is more like there's a hint of orange in it, but it is a slightly deeper shade. It's not that sort of vibrant orange tone red that we see pretty commonly. So in my notes, I said that this is bold in color, but it's not fully opaque. So you can see some lip through it, which means it looks like it works really organically with the lips. So instead of it having like a white base or looking like it blanks out the lid, instead it adds a really nice amount of pigment, but it's almost translucent. So it almost gives that sort of, again, that stainy sort of effect where you can sort of see your lips through it, but it is quite bold and very, very striking. I said that the finish of this is more of a typical lipstick. So it's that sort of cream finish. It's not matte, it's not super glossy. And this wore really nicely and it wore down beautifully as well. So I'll have some photos on the screen of it sort of semi-freshly applied and hours later where it still looks really, really beautiful on the lips. So I am gonna keep this. And the last one, I actually thought I hated this lipstick. This was one that I got gifted in a gift bag at an event a couple of years ago, and I remember trying this and being like, I don't like this. But when I wore this in the past month, I was like, oh my god, I love this. And I've worn it a couple of times and I've loved it each time. So this is the Rouge Couture lipstick in 52 Rouge Rose. This is like a bright coral pink. It's a shade that I've tried to buy and wear multiple times, but I've always decluttered them because they clash with my skin tone. And I feel like that's what I felt when I first tried this. But for some reason, when I tried it again recently, it must have worked well with my makeup or something, because I was shocked. I was like, I remember putting it on. I used my phone sort of selfie camera to put it on. And I was like, I remember seeing my reaction. I was just like, oh, so beautiful. So it's so opaque. It's really creamy and it's so bright and fun on the lips. And I'll read my notes because I said, bah, why didn't I wear this more in summer? It's the perfect bright summery shade. I said it's a bright coral pink, and often these shades clash with my skin tone and can look hideous, and other times it can work organically and look glorious. And this is how this has been working recently. It looks glorious. I love it. I said that not only was this shade beautiful, but the formula was perfection. It glides on like butter. It has a nice smooth feel to it, but it isn't overly shiny looking on the lips, so it doesn't have that really glossy effect. It's very comfortable, not too thick, and it's really beautifully pigmented. I also love the scent. It has a really nice berry scent that does linger a little bit, but I'm not mad at it because I like the scent of it. It wore down beautifully. It sort of wears down to more of a slightly more matte finish. The color looks more like a beautiful stain, and I actually preferred the look of it worn down a little bit than when it was freshly applied. So I'm definitely keeping this. I know I don't have too many shades like it because normally I steer clear from these kind of shades, but for some reason, maybe in this current season with my skin tone or the makeup I'm wearing lately, this is gorgeous, so I'm definitely keeping it. While I'm talking about lip products that I was looking for because I have that sort of blood effect to them, I'm going to talk about the only Alice Fast lipstick or any Alice Fast product I own. What is this one called? All right, this is the Hot Lips in L401 Deep Red. Now, Alice Fast is an interesting brand that have all these sort of like almost long bullet looking tubes, and you're supposed to put them in a canister, and you can have concealers and cream face products, eye products, mascaras, everything in this sort of same format, and you can just sort of keep it in this little canister and have like a full face. Now, I've never really seen the point of that sort of format. It seems a bit expensive and bulky and weird, but the reason why I wanted to check out the lip products in store was I saw a campaign a couple of years ago where they were talking about making the perfect blood red lip product. Now, the reason behind that was they were saying that because everyone's blood is the same color, it means that it's the red that is flattering to all skin tones. And I really love that idea. I also love the idea of a blood red because blood red, again, is a little bit orange toned, but it's a little bit rich. It's a little bit like vampy, but it's not vampy in a purple sense. I love orange tone lip products, and like blood red just sounds perfect to me. So even though I tried to find one in a YSL bullet lipstick and I still love the color, I wanted to check out their sort of the Alice Fast shades that were specifically designed to mimic blood. So I believe the shade that was being advertised in that ad campaign was the L201 Blood Red in the Milky Lips range. That is more of a medium coverage lip product, and it's a lot glossier. Whereas the Hot Lips version, which is what I went for, is like more bold in color and less shiny in the finish. So that's something that I just generally reach for more, but I thought this color looked still like a blood red, so I went for this. So this is more of your sort of sponge applicator, and it is like a liquid, almost like a lip stain. Oh, they're so beautiful. So you can see that it definitely looks like blood. So compared to the YSL one, this is so different. It's so bold. If you apply it sort of boldly, you can get it quite dark like that, or if you apply it quite sort of blend it out, it looks more like the YSL one. So you can get a little bit of variation with how much you apply. But I love this color. This color is so extremely beautiful. It is, yeah, it looks like you've just cut your finger and smeared blood on your hand. It seems really creepy and weird, but it works so beautifully on the lips. I love this, and I need to use it more because I don't know why I had it sitting at the back of the drawer, because it is gorgeous. All right, so in my notes, I said the applicator is okay. This is a liquid lipstick that you click out from a foam applicator and it works, but it's not my favorite method of application. I said that this does have a lingering ingredient scent to it, so you can taste the sort of raw ingredients after you've applied it for a while. But those are really the only negatives to this lip product. So the application method's not the best, and the taste or the sort of scent of it's not the best. I said this is a phenomenal blood red shade. It's bold in pigmentation, but it's not opaque. Again, it gives that sort of bold, stainy effect on the lips. But I said it looks just like a very saturated stain that melds beautifully with the lips. It feels comfortable and creates a beautiful blood red effect. I said it wears nicely too. It's supposed to be matte, but it has more moisture to it and fades down to more of a stain finish. So I said it's not budge proof, but it fades down really nicely and can easily be retouched because it's more of that stain finish, that thin stain finish, rather than like a thicker creamy lipstick. I also said that because I love this so much and I love the shade so much, I'm so tempted to go back and buy the original sort of true blood version that is a little bit sheerer, because lately I've sort of been loving a sheer, beautiful, glossy lip. So yeah, I'm tempted to buy another one of these. And yeah, I've come to realize that even though I love the bright red lips, when I go for something a little bit deeper and vampier, blood red is so gorgeous. Like, more brands should bring out blood red lipsticks. They're really phenomenal. All right, let's get on to some By Terry lipsticks. Now, these were actually sent to Beauty News in PR, so I didn't buy any of these, and I'm gonna keep some and get rid of others. So I've got 6 of these, and these are the Lip Expert range, and there's matte and also shine version. So I've got 2 matte, 4 shine. All right, so I'll start with the shine, and look, I like these. These are not amazing, but I did really enjoy using them. I'm going to keep 2 and get rid of 2. So the 2 that I'm keeping are more of the nude shades because I feel like they just look the nicest on the lips. So the shades I have, there's shade number 9, Peachy Guilt, and shade number 4, Hot Bear, and one is obviously peachy and one is a little bit more mauvey. So what I said about the formula of these is that these are medium pigmented, but they're not fully opaque. Again, similar to other products that I've been talking about, these are not sticky. These have more of that nice slip to them. And they do feel really moisturizing and smoothing to the lips, and they don't leave your lips feeling dehydrated, which is good. I said that these wear down really beautifully. They last a good few hours on the lips, and then they evenly fade down, so they always look quite nice and flattering. I said the main downside to these, and this is a huge downside to me, is the scent is really strong and not nice. These have a very floral, powdery perfume scent that remind me of like really vintage sort of, I don't know, it's like violet or something strong and a bit nasty, and I don't know why they did that. That really detracts and takes away the really sort of luxurious, nice experience that these can give you. It's also so strong that when you do breathe, you almost feel like you taste the perfume, which I don't like. But I do like the shades of these enough just to keep them and use them. The peach is really beautiful for sort of warmer looks. The mauve is really beautiful for cooler looks. They're both really nice. I'm keeping them. The 2 shades I'm going to get rid of in that range, I've got number 5, Chili Potion, and number 15, Red Shot. These, again, they've got the same formula, but because these are darker in pigment, so we've got one that's more of a burnt orange and one that's like a bright red, I just found that these didn't look as flattering, and again, they're a little bit more high maintenance because there's more pigment. They are glossy, they stay glossy, so instead of it fading down looking a little bit more natural, these end up just looking a little bit messy. Now, I did really like Chili Potion. I like the color of this, that burnt orange shade. I thought it's a really beautiful shade for like autumn or winter, but I did find that because it's a bit darker, when it starts to wear down, it looks lighter on the inner portion and darker on the outer portion, which I don't like. If you blot it down, it looks a lot nicer, but then it ends up looking like the peach shade. So why not just use the peach shade? Also, I found that even though this has that powdery scent, that weird floral scent, it's also got a little bit of like a fishy scent to it. So I feel like this one has gone off. It's the only one out of the whole range that has that scent. So I don't know if it's maybe the pigment that has mixed funny or if it has just gone off, but it doesn't need to be in my life. That's all I have to say. The red, look, I've got better glossy reds in my life, and I feel like this, I wore this actually on a day where I was wearing no makeup. I just wanted to try it. I feel like this looked too heavy and a little bit gluggy. So when I go for a shiny sort of sheer red lip, I like one that looks fresh. I'm thinking of, there's a MAC one that I'll put a photo on the screen. It just looks fresh and beautiful and youthful. This sort of looked heavy and gluggy and I didn't love it. All right, then I've got 2 matte liquid lipsticks, and I love one and I liked the other. So the one I liked, I'm gonna get rid of. The one I love, and I'm a bit bummed about this. So this is the shade number 7, Gypsy Wine. Now, I don't like things that have the name Gypsy because I know that that is a racial slur. And I understand that a lot of people don't realize that, but it does make me feel a little bit uncomfortable mentioning this shade. So I'm going to keep it, I'm going to use it, but it's not going to be something I use in a video and put in the description box because it makes me a bit uncomfortable. But this, I can't deny how gorgeous this shade is, and I wish they just renamed it. All right, so what I said about this, I said, wow, what a gorgeous wine lip. I said that this applies really well. It feels really comfortable, especially for a product that sets down to a matte finish. I said that it wears really nicely, but it does break down pretty quickly with oily food. So, you know, I wore this for about 4 hours. It was looking like bulletproof and lasted perfectly. And then all of a sudden I ate pasta and it just like disappeared. So, you know, I'm cool with that. I'm aware of that lip products often break down with food, but the color and the finish of this was worth keeping. So here's the color there. You can see that it is a dark shade, but what I love about it, it has a brightness, it has a vibrancy to it. So many times I will use like a dark lip product and it just looks really muted, whereas this has like a almost like a bright red peeking through, which I think is really stunning. So I really love the color of this and I will keep it. The main downsides was of course the name, and it does have that lingering scent that I don't like. The last shade I have is Velvet Orchid. This is a really, really beautiful sort of magenta purpley color. I love the color so much. It's beautiful. It's dark, but it's again bright and gorgeous. I was on the fence about keeping this, but when I was wearing it, I was like, look, the more I wear it, the less I like it. I found that because this shade is, if I smear it out a bit, you'll see it's quite bright and light, but if you build it up, it actually goes quite dark. And what that means is that it wears off patchy. So again, the inner portion sort of wears off brighter and the outer rim looks deeper. But also if you apply this a little bit unevenly, so if you don't apply it perfectly smoothly, there'll be patches of darkness and patches of brightness, which I didn't love. So I love the color. I didn't mind how this wore in terms of liquid lipsticks. It was comfortable. It wasn't like flaky. It wasn't dry, but the color was just a little bit uneven. Whereas this one, even though the color is a bit more bright, if you blend it out, you can see that it's an even color. This looked patchy. This looked nice and even. All right, I need to speed through some of the rest of them because I've got 6 left, thank God, but this is taking a long time. So let's talk about Charlotte Tilbury. I've got 2 Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks. One is a full size, one is a mini. The full size is the Kissing lipstick, the Kissing lipstick. And this is in the shade So Marilyn, which has been renamed to So Red. Now, this is a creamy, traditional sort of bold cream finish lipstick. So it's not super, super shiny, but it's not matte. Now, this is so opaque and gorgeous. You can just see one swipe. It gives you that beautiful, again, that vampy sort of vintage red. This is a blue toned red. It's deeper. It's got a bit of a shine to it, and it's really, really creamy and opaque. Now, this sounds like tick, 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 tick. There's so many like good things about this. I've just realized it's not something for me. And because I've only worn it a handful of times, I'm just going to disinfect this and give it to someone who will enjoy it more. Now, my qualms about this was that it's a little bit deep for what I like to wear on a daily basis. I'm totally fine wearing a red to the shops or wearing red to wherever, but I like it to be a bit more vibrant and, I don't know, fresh. I feel like bright reds, I don't know, I just feel like that they work well for me. These slightly deeper reds look a little bit more nighttime, a little bit more, yeah, a little bit heavier on me for some reason. So I don't love, like I like the tone. I think it's a gorgeous classic red, but I wouldn't wear this on a daily basis. Also, I find that when I reach for these types of colors, I like them to be a little bit more matte. So again, they don't move or budge too much. And I like the emphasis to be on the color. I like the color to be the bold thing about it. Whereas because this was quite shiny, as you can see, and it stayed shiny throughout the day, I found that the dark red and shiny together was a little bit much for me. It sort of reminds me of like having black nail polish, but glitter and metallic as well. It's sort of like there's competing elements, which I find a little bit too much. So even though I like this, I think it would be better suited to someone else. So I'm going to pass this on just because it was a little bit much for my daily wear. What I loved though, this was one of my favorite products of the month. I actually got this in a duo with a lip liner, and it was actually a present from a beautiful Beauty News subscriber. I got it for Christmas, and I hadn't used this because I started this lip project and I sort of had it set aside, but I love this. I've been using this quite a lot. This is the lip product besides the lip glosses from Mcgrath or the tinted lip balm. If I wanted something basic and nude, I went for this, and I wore this multiple times because it is, I understand why it's a cult product. All right, so this is the Matte Revolution formula. So it's not the kissing formula that's a lot sort of shinier and, in my opinion, sort of thick feeling on the lips, like sort of creamy and thick. This is a matte formula, and this is the shade Pillow Talk. So it is Charlotte Tilbury's sort of most well-known nude shade, and I understand why. I love it. I also love that this mini is the same quality as the full size. Like, the metal is the same, it feels heavy, it's good quality, and I've worn this a handful of times this month and it has not broken, and I'm not scared to use it. I feel like this is how minis should be done. Pat McGrath, I don't trust those minis. I trust these minis. If you want to try a Charlotte Tilbury lipstick in a mini formula, especially the Matte Revolution ones, I feel like they do hold up and they're really nice, and I love this. This is the kind of thing that I would pan and then I would repurchase the full size because it's beautiful. I'll swatch the shade. It's much thinner. So it is a beautiful rosy nude. It reminds me a lot of MAC Velvet Teddy. I might try to swatch them side by side. I don't have it with me right here. I might try to swatch them side by side and put them on the screen because this reminds me a lot. It's that rosy nude that is like My Lips but better. And this is a thinner formula. It's not as sort of thick and tacky as this kissing formula. And you can see that it doesn't catch the light. So it is more of like a matte, but it's not a dry matte, if that makes sense. I said it's got a cream finish. It's not completely matte, but it's not shiny. So instead of it looking more true matte, it definitely looks more of a satin, I suppose, on the lips. I said it's a beautiful shade of rosy nude. It has almost opaque coverage, but it's sort of, you can see the lips through it a little bit, and it looks really, really beautiful. I said that compared to something like Velvet Teddy from MAC, I feel like this is thinner in consistency. It glides on the lips a little bit more easily, so it's not as sort of bold and thick as Velvet Teddy is. So it is a little bit more comfortable, but it doesn't wear as long. However, when this does fade down, because it is like My Lips but better, it fades down really beautifully, and it does last a few hours. And I also said a big thumbs up for Charlotte Tilbury for making a mini lipstick that doesn't break. I can definitely see myself buying a full size of this when I use it up. So I love this. I'm keeping it. It's a good lipstick. I understand the hype now. All right, the next things I'm going to talk about, super bougie Tom Ford. One thing I bought and I'm not in love with, and the other thing I was gifted, and it's superior. It's beautiful. I love it. So let's talk about this one first. This is the Tom Ford Lip Lacquer Luxe Vinyl in the shade Infatuate. Now, I bought this because I love the shade, but unfortunately I don't love the formula. The shade is supreme. I'm actually going to keep this, not because I love the product, but I want to find a dupe for this shade. You can see it's a vinyl, so it's glossy. I wanted to buy this shade in the matte version. Similar to the By Terry lipsticks, these have the vinyl version, which are really shiny, and then a matte version, but they didn't have this shade in a matte version. They only had it in the shiny. So that's why I bought this. I love this shade. It's like a really pigmented, bold, punch in the face, magenta pink, slightly cooler tone. So it's not, doesn't have a lot of yellow or orangey tones to it. It's got a little bit of like a hint of purple or something. I love it. I think it's the most beautiful electric pink shade, but I don't love the formula. All right, so what I said about this in my notes, I said I'm so torn on the product. The shade is the most amazing shade of pink. I said that this is ridiculously pigmented and very, very glossy on the lips. However, there are many downsides to it. I said that it's thick and it's quite hard to apply precisely because it's quite tacky on the lips, and it has a habit of transferring and smearing onto your teeth, and it's a messy lip product. And because it's so pigmented, any bit that like strays, you can see it. It's like, this is like the equivalent of a really pigmented powdery black eyeshadow that as soon as you got a little fleck somewhere and you try to smear it, it's just black everywhere. It's the same with this because it's bright, bright, bright pink. When I did wear this during the month, I did make sure to blot this down, especially on the inner portion, so it didn't transfer onto my teeth and it wasn't sort of moving around too much. But you can see in a photo that even though I did do that, as I was talking and as I was wearing this, it happened to migrate down into the outer corners of my mouth and sort of make me look like I've got a bit of a Joker smile going on. So this does move and it never fully settles down. So it's one of those really high maintenance lip products. However, I did say that because I love the color so much and because I can make it work. So if I maybe blot it down even more, which you can do because it's so pigmented that if you blotted it down quite a lot, you still get a really beautiful pink effect. It might be a bit lighter, but you can still sort of make it work. And I'm willing to keep it to try to find a dupe. I'm hoping that in my collection, I will find a dupe for this in a different formula, so I don't need to go buy one. But until I do find a dupe, I'm gonna keep it because I can make it work. It's just messy. All right, this lip product is glorious. This is like, it's a classic black, beautiful Tom Ford case, and it is the lipstick in Fucking Fabulous. That's the shade. And it's fucking fabulous. I'm just going to say it is the most beautiful, traditional red lipstick. It smells a little bit like MAC. It's got that sort of soft vanilla scent, which I do like, but it does remind me a lot of MAC. Okay, I'm going to swatch this, but I don't want to use too much of it because it's just, oh, it's gorgeous. All right, so what I said about this, I said it's a beautiful luxe lipstick. This, you can feel that it's luxe. It glides on like butter, but it's not too thick. It's not too heavy on the lips, unlike the Charlotte Tilbury Kissing lipstick or the YSL Stain, like that glossy vinyl stain thing. Those sort of sit quite heavy on the lips. This is super thin, super duper thin. So it's very comfortable, but it glides on, has a nice amount of color, feels comfortable. It's like perfection. The color is a gorgeous bright red, but it's not fully opaque. So it doesn't have the white base in it that blanks out the lips. Again, it's sort of, you can see the lips through it a little bit, similar to my YSL one that sort of looks like the blood color. That is similar to this, but this is more blue toned red. So this has more of like a raspberry tone to it, whereas that YSL one had a little bit more of like that orangey tone to it, but it has that same sort of bold but translucent look on the lips, which makes it look like it works beautifully with the lips. It sort of incorporates into the lips instead of sitting on top looking heavy. This also wears down really nicely, so it looks more like a red sort of stain that it fades down to. So feels nice, it looks nice, it's a beautiful classic red. And if I want to keep a sort of glossy, classic blue toned red, this is the one I'm planning on keeping because it's gorgeous and it's super comfortable. Such a good lipstick. It's such a like a splurge fancy lipstick. I was actually, again, gifted this, which was fantastic, but it's so special. It's like, it's a vibe. I love it. All right, the last two lip products are actually by the hair brand Orbay. So they do have some makeup and they've got 2 shades of lipstick. I think that, no, maybe 3 shades. But I've got the red one and the violet one. So these are the Lip Lust Creme lipsticks. And of course, there's the shade, the red and the violet. I'm actually curious about swatching this alongside Fucking Fabulous because I feel like they're quite sort of similar colors. You can see that one is Fucking Fabulous and that is the Orbay one. They're actually quite similar, aren't they? All right, so what I said about the red one in particular, I said I don't need so many shiny reds because I don't wear that many shiny reds, but there's a few things that I really like about this one. Firstly, it applies really smoothly. It's really thin and comfortable. It's a true red and it's nice and bright, but a little bit translucent. So again, you can sort of see the lips through it. I said it does stay shiny throughout the wear time and doesn't transfer as much as other shiny reds that I tend to have because it's a thin layer on the lips rather than that built up thick layer like Charlotte Tilbury. This does wear fairly well, but then when you do eat, it wears off really fast and can look a little bit patchy. This also has a nice sort of vanilla sugar scent to it. So yeah, same goes for the purple, but instead of it looking a little bit more jelly red on the lips, it's obviously more of a beautiful shiny purple. Now, realistically, again, am I going to wear these? When it comes to the violet shade, I actually think I prefer the similar sort of shade, but in the YSL matte stain. I feel like it's something I'm going to reach for more than this glossy effect here. So I don't think I'm going to keep the violet. And I was thinking of keeping the red, but now that I compare it to the Tom Ford one, I think I like the Tom Ford one better. And even though I don't want to wear Tom Ford every day, one thing I've learned about wearing all my luxury lipsticks throughout the month is that treat yourself. If you've got them, instead of them going off, you should actually use the ones you love. And if you need to wear Tom Ford to go to the post office, like, live your best life. So I reckon I'm gonna get rid of these. I might pass them on, like disinfect them and pass them on, because it's so similar, and realistically, I don't need so many glossy reds. And I think the Tom Ford one is just, it's more superior. All right, so throughout April, I tried 34 luxury lip products. And at the start, when I was trying a bunch of them, I'm like, I'm not gonna get rid of any, because when you pay for luxury prices, you generally get really good quality products. Like, doesn't happen with all makeup. I find often luxury eyeshadows are not that greatest, but luxury lipsticks, they generally are a lot more superior to your drugstore lipsticks. There are exceptions, but you know, overall that's the case. So I was thinking that I'm not going to get rid of any here. Now I've managed to get rid of 9 and I'm keeping 25. So the split is not the best. In past months, I actually got rid of more lipsticks than what I was actually keeping, but that wasn't the case here, obviously, just because the quality of them was so high. Now, that doesn't mean that I will be keeping all of the ones that I've decided to keep after this month, because at the very end of the project, like I said, I'm gonna do sort of like a swatch off and really decide, like, do I need all of the matte Pat McGrath lipsticks? Like, I like the formula, but I'm not in love with them. And I feel like the shades, I probably have very similar things in my collection. So again, if I can find a dupe for my Tom Ford one, I'm not keeping that. So this is not the final number, it's just the final number for now. But I still feel like getting rid of 9 luxury lipsticks was pretty hard to do. And I'm feeling good about the ones I've kept. All right, so that was a big month, 34 products in about 30 days, and it was a really busy end of my month. It was my son's first birthday, I had my birthday, now it's Mother's Day, and we're sort of like a third way through May already. So what I'm gonna do for the rest of the month is take it a little bit easy and choose a category that I have less lip products in, and that category is going to be influencer brands. So think of, what do I have listed here? Luna Beauty, Kylie Cosmetics, Jeffree Star, House Labs, M Cosmetics. I'm going to try those. I think I only have about 16 or 18 products to get through, so I will check back in the start of June with how I went with those. Some other categories that I've sort of earmarked for the rest of the year, I'll run through some of them quickly so you know what's coming up, but I don't know when I'm going to do it. I'm just going to decide at the start of the month what I feel like trying that month. But I have high-end month number 2. I have Japanese/Korean makeup, indie brands, Mecca brands, Sephora brands. And then before my swatch off, I might also do a month of products that slipped through the cracks. So this is either products that didn't really fit a category or products that I sort of forgot to include in previous months. So it's sort of like tying up loose ends. All right, I know that was a long one, but reviewing 34 luxury lip products is time consuming. But I'll be back soon, hopefully, to film my project pan. So if you're interested in that, it'll be coming up next. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.